Sports Podcast. I said, welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast with Andy Ruther and Joe Praino. Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast.
Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Ruther, coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, with my co-host from New York, Joey No Chill Praino.
Hello, Andy.
Morning.
Morning, pod.
I like these.
You like these?
Yeah. Get it out of the way. You know, the 1 p.m. Eastern time for me is just like, you know, it's the middle of the day.
Smack dab in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
You're telling me I got to start getting up and doing these at 7 a.m.?
No, just moved to New York. There's your solution, man.
It's not out of the question.
I was just gonna say, I know you've probably thought about it.
I've thought about it, but there's a lot of factors. I mean, and truly, we talk about it all the time. We've talked about it in the last couple of episodes. It's just like, when you think about all the things like comedy. People used to ask me, is comedy better in New York or LA? And I'd be like, I was like, same but different. And it's like, that's not true anymore. It's back to New York, and it probably has been since like the Comedy Cellar is just a behemoth. But California, man, I just think about being able to go to the beach, being able to go to the desert, being able to go to Tahoe, being able to go up the coast, like just so much. It's like moving out of like the greatest natural playland of all time. You're like, it's tough. I mean, New York's pretty great as far as like having a lot of stuff real close, but it's just not the same.
But you could also, like, as far as the beach and that stuff, obviously it's the summer, but you still get that in the summer.
Right, in the summer.
You know.
And there's really no time of year where you're like, I can't do certain things. Like, yeah, I was just in Palm Springs last week. It's like, you can't really go to Palm Springs this summer. It's like abusively hot. But otherwise, like, yeah, just come here and then it's like just a winter. You're just like wintering. It's tough.
Yeah. But again, dude, I am like at the point I'd rather have the winter than in the humid summer.
Yeah.
Like, I'll bring the cold any day.
But the thing is, where you get the winter, you also get the humid summer.
True.
Whereas in LA, I mean, we've had a humid summer this year, but typically not normal.
Yeah. The Reds were out there this weekend.
Yeah. If you were still in California, you would have been there for sure.
Yeah, I still haven't been to a game yet.
But I have a feeling your boycott of the Reds would have.
It's not again. I would always want to
we're
clarify.
already loosening.
No.
The
I've
boycott
always
is
said
loosening.
I've always said this. It's the ownership.
Right.
I'm not. Somebody asked me the other day, "Are you going to a game?" I said, "I'm not ready right now." I said I might at some point this year, but I just like my thing is, and I understand winning changes things, and it should, but like I'm one of those people. I don't just ignore 17 years of shitty ownership.
And right now, I mean, the trade deadline's tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's not like you guys were like taking swings.
No, I don't think they will. I mean, realistically, though, I think they have a pretty good young core.
Yeah.
They definitely would need a pitcher, but come playoffs, I don't follow baseball enough. Just I followed enough to know the Reds wouldn't stand a chance, in my opinion, in a series against.
But anything can happen. It's the Phillies were in the World Series last year. It's like you know. And you guys have a good young core that's already up, and I know your farm system is deep, so it's like you still have guys that are sitting down there who, I know that's how you build a team, but also like you got to take your swings when you get them, man. You're currently in first place. The trade deadline's tomorrow.
That's kind of tomorrow.
August 1st.
Okay.
So
well, maybe they would go for somebody on the Mets, like a Verlander.
Yeah. Seems unlikely. He has a no trade clause, so seems unlikely Verlander would go for a Cincinnati.
Yeah, that does seem unlikely.
This dude's in New York City.
Well, your team is like, they're claiming they're not selling, but if you get rid of Scherzer,
yeah, good riddance. There's so many Mets. The Mets fan base right now, I can't even go on social media when it comes to Mets fan base. Everybody's so across the fucking all over the place. There's overly positive Mets fans that may be the worst at this point. Overly positive Mets fans are just Carmelo fans. You're just denying reality. Then there's like overly negative Mets fans who are like, this is the fucking end. Oh, same old Will Ponds, like whatever. And it's just like, you just got to be realistic. But the bottom line is, I mean, nothing eats a fake competitor fraud alive like New York City. Mr. Old fucking stompy, angry fucking yell face comes to New York, and then suddenly he's, meh, I don't like the direction of this team. I got to talk to the ownership.
Well, I mean, to be fair, they were like World Series top 3 or 4 World Series favorites. I mean, this has been, you could argue this is one of the most, heading into a season, disappointing teams in recent memory.
Absolutely. And the thing about Scherzer is, but they were right there. They won 101 games last year. They lost the division by a fucking game or whatever, and it's because Max Scherzer didn't show up at the end of the year or in the playoffs. He just didn't show up. And now he's like, rah, 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 rah. And you're like, okay. I've got a couple of shout outs I'm going to do throughout this episode. I have some messages for some multiple dirt balls. First of all, I want to shout out Zach Berman, who I had to cancel playing golf on yesterday because my knee is very jacked up at the moment. Also, shout out to our boy Kyle Aronofsky from Toms River, New Jersey. Kyle, I'll be in touch. I might be canceling golf with you guys too. Bad knee issue right now. But also, I remember I think I did one positive Max Scherzer tweet after all the Max Scherzer hating I did. I think I did one positive Max Scherzer tweet last year when he outdueled Max Fried in a midseason Brave series. And it was just like our Max is better than your Max. And I'm going to call him out by name. Our boy Emiliano was like, remember when you wanted fucking Marcus Stroman? LOL. Guess what? I still want Marcus Stroman over Max Scherzer. Wanted it then. Wanted it now. Fuck Max Scherzer.
Yeah, but come on. Overall, he's a Hall of Fame pitcher.
Great. So is Tom Glavine. So is Pedro Martinez. The Mets got to stop doing this. The Mets got to stop getting guys who are Hall of Fame pitchers after every other team is like, I think you should just retire.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that is kind of the well, come on. Some of those guys had some great years.
Yeah.
Wasn't Pedro and Glavine were still pretty good in the Mets.
They were pretty good, but the point is like, this is what the Mets do, which is like, hey, we'll sign you guys for $40 million for just like a couple years. Thinking like, I don't mind doing that if your game plan is, hey, we're going in this year, and this is we're going for it all. But like, for them to think, I mean, Max Scherzer was shit on the Dodgers at the end of the year in the postseason. It was very clear that he wasn't going to get through a whole season and still be who he was. And the Mets looked at that and they were like, okay, here's 3 years. And now they're literally paying they're paying for it, which, by the way, I mean, I approve. Like, again, it's not.
They're paying for him in Texas.
Yeah. It's not my money and I don't give a fuck. But you and I, before the show started, we're talking about Elon Musk. And we can't talk about the details that we were talking about with Elon Musk. But Steve Cohen's got a little bit of Elon Musk happening. It's like, dude, you can have all the money in the world, But if you don't actually know how to run the thing you bought, it doesn't matter. Like, hire somebody whose job this is. Hire somebody to be the CEO of Twitter. Hire somebody to be the president of baseball operations for the Mets. Because right now, Steve Cohen, I love the spending of the money, and I love that they're not giving up a core. You have a core, and you need to build around that core. We saw that with the Yankees in the 90s. The stars, the guys who were like the league leader in WAR every year for the Yankees, were free agents. But the leadership, you know, I know it's like kind of fucking cliche and we shit on it, but like no one's overrating the leadership of Derek Jeter. It's just like you're overrating the actual thing. But like that stuff's important. Your leadership comes from within. And it's like, great, don't sell Pete Alonso. Like, this guy's the heart and soul of the team. Build around him, build around Lindor, build around McNeil. Like, obviously Lindor is a guy that they acquired, but like build around those guys. But it can't just be, you can't just go with an Elon Musk strategy of like, let's put an X on the building. Like sit down and think about how the fuck you're doing this. We're 2 years in. He doesn't have a president of baseball operations.
So who's calling those shots?
The GM and Steve Cohen, and like Sandy Alderson's like somehow loosely fucking on speed dial still.
When did Cohen buy the Mets?
It was essentially his third season with the team.
I mean, look, to play devil's advocate, it takes a minute. Like, you can't, the notion that, hey, I bought this new professional franchise and I'm going to win a title, right?
But it's just the issue is just the blueprint is in place. You have to stay consistent. Even the beginning of last year, they went all in on Scherzer, and then the deadline came and they didn't do anything. And then this year in the offseason, they signed David Robertson, who they should have traded for at the deadline in free agency. And they now have since traded him at the guy they were supposed to acquire last year at the deadline. They just traded at the deadline. That's kind of a sign that you're like spinning out of control. Where like there is nobody in charge. There's no one fucking running the lighthouse. You have all the money in the world. If you want to spend it on somebody who knows about baseball. He can get anybody he wants. He can get fucking. He'll buy the Yankees just to steal their farm system. It's like, okay, buy a GM, buy a president of baseball operations, buy Theo Epstein. Theo Epstein won't do it for $1 billion. Theo Epstein won't become your president of baseball operations. Bet he will. I bet he fucking will. If every golfer in the world will leave the PGA for a paycheck that exceeds their operations, Theo Epstein will come be the president of baseball.
Well, I think the mindset of somebody when you have this much money, it doesn't matter whether it's a sports owner or like a Zuckerberg or Musk. Like I think Bill Gates. I think what happens is I just think there's so much ego involved a lot of times where maybe from Cohen's perspective, he thinks, I'm not justifying, I'm just saying from his perspective, these guys think I amassed all this money by making smart business decisions. I can do that with a team. And I'm assuming that's why he's not hiring people or putting people in the right spot, right? They think they can do it all by themselves because they have for most of their life. I don't know.
And now I hate to keep going back to like the Elon Musk thing, but it's giving me those vibes, especially since both the guys are in the news so much. It's like, and then doubling down on your decisions. Like, I wanted Buck Showalter because at the time, guy like him and a guy like Bruce Bochy were the best options available. But everybody was saying Bochy didn't want to come back and manage. But then Bochy came back and managed the next year. So first of all, where was that paycheck where was that fucking checkbook when Bruce Bochy was like maybe thinking about it? And second of all, I can take L's too. Like I wanted Buck Showalter, but at this point, it ain't happening. But middle of the season, he was like, no, we didn't do anything wrong. We didn't do anything wrong. We're going to keep him. It would be dumb for me to fire him. It's like, why? It's not working out. We're going to call it X. And they're like, that's trademarked. We're going to fucking call it X. You don't own the trademark. Fuck you. Like, okay. How does this play out in the long run? So now you're going to have to what? Fire Buck Showalter in the offseason?
Look, to be fair, again, in all those circumstances, like you don't, that's why I said it's been 3 years. That's why I asked, like in the long run, like if the Mets got a World Series title in the next 3 years, it's a win. It works.
Listen,
right? Like
what's the most difficult part about this, if you're a Mets fan, is this is like dating a girl and she doesn't let you play golf anymore, and she insists that you go to like paint by numbers wine night, and she forces you to watch The fucking Bachelor every day and whatever. But your last girlfriend tried to stab you in the neck with a fucking hacksaw, like there so much would have to happen for this to be on the level of the Wilpons. But at the same time, it's like, okay, that doesn't mean like just because the Wilpons were so bad doesn't mean you get the leeway to just like it's a completely different decision now. Now instead of the cheap owner, we have the spending owner, but we still have the like. I mean, Sandy Alderson's been crossed the two ownership groups. Like I just feel like you need somebody to be like, hey, listen, baseball wise, these are the decisions you need to be making. I'll move back to New York for that, Andy.
Is Jonah Hill available?
Yeah, right.
Right. Moneyball Jonah Hill.
Yeah.
Full character.
Can you imagine Jonah Hill being the president, and he's telling guys, I'm not comfortable with you being out there with guys in tight baseball pants. If you're going to be taking pictures with them.
That whole Jonah Hill thing was weird.
Very weird. He told his surfer girlfriend that she's not allowed to be in bathing suits anymore. It's like dating. It's like my girlfriend telling me I can't have a mustache. It's like, I don't know if you know this. It's kind of my brand. If you're going to keep drinking Miller Lite and having a mustache, I can't do this. I've set my boundaries.
I mean, dude, you're like, he's pretty big to have that insecurity. Like, to be at his level of fame and to be that insecure is pretty insane.
Yeah.
Now, he is like 4'5". Have you ever seen him?
No. Super short?
Oh, my God. He was at the Improv right when I moved to L.A. He was hanging out at the bar. Like him and Seth Meyers, a few guys, and it was kind of dead that night. And I was actually hanging out. Seth
Meyers or Seth Rogen?
Seth Meyers too.
Wow.
It was like a random group just hanging out at the bar. It was like Jonah Hill, Seth Meyers, Nick Swartzen, and it was like a dead night, like a dead weekday night. I used to go up to the Improv and hang out, but I remember I couldn't get over how short he was. Like he made me look tall.
Yeah.
He's like 5'5", maybe.
I mean, that's gotta be I mean, that and being overweight, it's gotta be a huge part of it. Because like the internet, I mean, we're kind of past the point where we're trying to curb like the body shaming of men and women and whatever. But the one thing that's free game still, and apparently will always be free game, is women just being like, if you're short, kill yourself. Men will be like, I just want a girl who's like, she doesn't have to be like a supermodel, but she has to be like proportionate. And I don't really like. They're like, you motherfucking piece of trash. Our bodies are our bodies.
I'm having flashbacks.
And then a man's like, I'm 5'10". It's like, gross. Have you thought about killing yourself?
I'm having flashbacks to being on the dating apps. How much that would anger me.
Yeah.
In LA, where the girls would be like, if you're under 6 foot, don't bother. Like, bitch, who are you?
Yeah, yeah.
If you're under the amount, like, if you're under, like, girls would straight up say, if you're under 6 foot, don't bother. And I'm like, well, I used to always troll those girls.
Meanwhile, if you had been on Tinder and been like, if your BMI is over this, don't bother, you'd have been like, there'd be a fucking news article about you.
Yeah. Wow. I know. It's
Luckily,
crazy.
I'm 6'4", so I don't really have to deal with it. But I stand with my short kings, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like the white Karen at the BLM marches. Like I'm with you guys. Like I spent so much of my life short that I think about if I had never had a growth spurt.
Yeah. Well, it is funny. By the way, if Jonah Hill is anything to worry about, it's that picture of him in a Suns jersey.
Yeah.
That's still my favorite Jonah Hill.
Yeah.
The Suns jersey. Is it just me, or is the buzz for the Major League Baseball trade deadline just so much lower than the other sports? Like, I remember as a kid it being huge.
Yeah. Well, it seems like so many teams, like, well, first of all, I feel like the trade deadline in football is like nothing. I feel like basically, I mean,
I agree. I feel like it's getting bigger though.
It's getting bigger. I mean, as of like, I would say not even the last 5 years. Before that, you really had like no trades happen. Like just people just wouldn't trade people.
Yeah.
And then NBA, obviously, because NBA, you acquire these guys, and there's obviously there's a salary cap in basketball, so there's expiring contracts and teams wanting to get rid of guys and whatever, so that you can take big swings that like are literally season changing moves.
Sure.
Baseball, I think it's become more like that. Used to be the thing in baseball is like growing up, you had what pitcher are the Yankees going to get for down the stretch? What pitcher are this team going to get? Like you do that. And now I feel like so many teams have realized like the days of the 90s Yankees are gone. And if you look now, I mean, sort of the model franchise for the last few years has been the Astros. It's like, we're going to build around the young guys and we'll add the pieces in the offseason as we see fit. Like it feels like teams have learned, like in baseball, unlike football where it's, championship or bust, like that happens over a long time in baseball. You have to build. And so I feel like teams take less chances on getting rid of guys for like that one big swing. But I always still think it depends on your franchise. Last year again, the Mets were pacing for 100-win team, haven't won in 30 plus years. It's right there. You can taste it, you can feel it. You have one of the richest owners of you have the richest owner in baseball. Take your fucking swing. And the teams that are out there right now that would do that. I mean, Texas is obviously taking big swings. They've been kind of openly spending their money the last few years. San Diego is basically tied with the Mets right now in terms of they're chasing a wild card, which is they're not close. So they've been unabashedly spending money, but it doesn't feel like they're going to be big buyers. Ohtani obviously was the big talk, and now the Angels are going to keep him for this year at least.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's moves to be made out there, and I think we'll get a little flurry the next day, but it'll be interesting. I don't see any like massive names being moved.
Who's the biggest? What's like some of the biggest trades you remember growing up?
Some of the biggest trades. I'm trying to think of like, is there a standout one? I'm not sure. What do you got? You got one that like jumps out at you?
No, I'm just trying to think. Oh, I think of more particularly with the Reds.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I remember them adding David Wells. I remember them trading Paul O'Neill.
Yeah.
Trading Roberto Kelly, I think, for Deion Sanders.
Yep.
Which was
you guys did a lot of moves with the Yankees, huh?
They did. They used to do a lot of moves with the Yankees, in the 90s.
It always felt like the Yankees got a reliever at the deadline. It always felt like the Yankees added like one little last piece to the deadline. You know, the specifics of it are like escaping me right now, but it always felt like the Yankees were in that mix. I'm trying to think of some huge ones though.
How much chili you think David Wells ate when he came to Cincinnati?
I feel like he went full full fucking nacho helmet too. Like remember he's like famous for having a very gigantic head. I feel like he just like went over to Gold Star and was like, fill my ball cap. Can I get a David Wells ball cap deal?
But he claimed he pitched a no-hitter drunk, right?
Yeah.
Dude, I didn't realize I'm pulling David Wells up. They actually got him from Detroit. I'm pulling him up.
Oh, yeah. They got him because he wasn't coming from the Yankees to the.
No, he played for a million different teams. Holy shit. David Wells his career started in actually, here's a fun one for you. David Wells started in 1987. His last year was 2007. Let's see how many teams you can name. I'm gonna look here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He played for 9 teams.
The David Wells played for 9 teams.
Correct.
Okay.
How many can you name?
Yankees, Tigers, Reds, Blue Jays.
There you go. You're already at 4.
Brewers.
Let's see here.
Wasn't he a Brewer? He was not a Brewer?
No. So here's a hint.
Hold on. Was he in Boston?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mostly in the AL.
Yeah.
His only NL teams, you named the Reds are 1, 2 other NL teams.
2 other NL teams. Wow.
Was he his final season? I don't remember this at all for this NL.
Was he a Dodger?
Yes. His final season.
Yeah.
And you're close. I'll give you a hint. Very close.
San Diego?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that.
So
how many am I at? I was at 4, and then I added 5, 6.
Yeah.
No, and I got Boston too. 7.
You got Boston. You need 2 more.
Damn. Was he in Seattle?
No, you want me to give him 2?
Yeah.
Baltimore and Chicago White Sox.
I was gonna say Baltimore. I don't remember Chicago at all. I was gonna say Baltimore because it felt like he had most of the AL East, if I recalled.
Like he's 60 years old right now.
Mm-hmm.
David Wells he looks like
played for every team in the AL East except for the fucking Rays.
Yeah. I bet that guy could drink, man. Like he's the type of guy who you're just like, I can't drink. Like I can't drink with this guy because he just couldn't drink me under the table. He's a big dude.
Yeah, he's massive.
Goatee. Like when I think 90s baseball or early 2000s baseball, like pitcher.
It's too bad he wasn't around these days. It'd be great to be in a clubhouse with him and he's just being the grumpy old vet and some guy goes, "Okay, Boomer."
I think he'd punch him.
Remember that was his nickname? Boomer Wells?
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
I was gonna say. Actually,
Okay,
he wouldn't
Boomer.
punch him. He wouldn't know what it meant.
No.
Right? He'd have no clue.
He just think that they were calling him his nickname.
So who are the famous boomers? Him, Boomer Esiason.
Yep.
And they used to call
Chris Berman.
Yeah. Boomer is getting inducted in the Cincinnati Bengals Ring of Honor. It's him and Chad Johnson, the new inductees.
Wow.
Yeah. I couldn't help but think of my old man. I was like, what would Walt Ruther say about this? He loves Boomer.
He loved Boomer.
Loved Boomer.
Boomer kind of famously a dickhead.
I can see that. At
least around New York.
He's
here now. He's a former Jet. He's on the radio. He's just typically everybody kind of just thinks Boomer's a fucking dick.
Kind of arrogant. Right? I can see that.
Yeah. I was just trying to rack my brain for trades. I think the biggest one that I remember being like an absolute game changer is remember Randy Johnson's Astros stint?
Oh, yeah.
That was a deadline move.
Was Clemens a deadline move?
I don't think he was a deadline move to the Astros. I think he was on the Astros, and then they were good, and then they were like, let's get Randy Johnson. Remember? And that was really kind of like the beginning of like we're going to pitch him out of the bullpen. We're going to pitch him every 3 days to start. Then he's going to come out of the bullpen. It was like for an offseason, Randy Johnson pitched every 2 days in some form.
Who would you be more scared to go to hit against? Prime Roger Clemens or prime Randy Johnson?
Well, I mean, as a right-handed batter, for sure, Clemens. If I was lefty, I'd be more scared of facing Randy Johnson than I'd be scared of getting hit by a car crossing the 405. Like, he was so fucking tall, and he came from the side. That must have looked like the ball was coming from behind you. That's why I remember the John Crook All-Star Game thing where he almost fucking hit him and then he went on. It was like,
I'm scared to bat.
There's nobody that would be scarier to face. I think in maybe the history of the game with the arm angle. Because Aroldis Chapman throws pretty hard, and Aroldis Chapman kind of comes from the side, but he wasn't as tall and he wasn't as from the side. I think being a left-handed hitter facing Randy Johnson has to be the scariest shit there is. But as a right-handed hitter, I'd be way more scared to face Roger Clemens.
Yeah. I forgot about the Randy Johnson Astros days.
Also, Roger Clemens would like find out my dad was an immigrant and like throw out my face.
Well, if you had a 15-year-old country singer around, then he'd chill. He's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember they would talk about like his off-season workouts, like he sticks his arm in a barrel of grain, like whatever. You're like, dude,
I do remember that.
Just go to the gym, bro.
I remember the tub of grain.
Some fucking dumbass shit.
That's some Texas shit right there, man.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Texas, I got something better than food from Texas. A little something called Butcher Box I want to talk about right now, Joe. Yeah. I've said this. I'm going to say it again. I got this nice charcoal Weber grill, and the perfect match for that has been the deliveries from Butcher Box. Some flank steak I've been cooking lately. Right? My girlfriend's really into that.
Love that.
Had it the other day. Cooked a little steak. We had some mashed potatoes. I made one of my Andy Ruther salads, which I kind of stole from my girlfriend. A little salad with it. It was a great meal. Guys, Butcher Box is great because it will be delivered right to your door. Like, you don't have to leave your house. You don't have to leave your house. Just get that grill started. It'll show up right to your door. You can start cooking away. And Butcher Box is giving a special deal to all the DirtBalls. Guess what? You get free bacon for a year with code DIRTY at butcherbox.com/dirty. Yeah. Free bacon. Who doesn't love them some bacon? So sign up today at butcherbox.com/dirty and use code DIRTY to get 2 packs of bacon free for a year plus $20 off your first order. That's butcherbox.com/dirty and use code dirty to claim the steal. A lot of dirty in there.
Hell yeah.
So we have the biggest deal in NBA history now since last episode, which is crazy to think that it's Jaylen Brown. So Jaylen Brown, 5 years, $303.7 million.
Bananas.
I still don't fully understand it. I understand it's through the collective bargaining and the TV deals and all this money and how everything works with the CBA, but like it's just crazy to think like Jaylen Brown has the highest contract ever.
It's just basically, listen, whoever's, if you're
whoever's next up.
If you're with a team, you've started with that team and you're going to get the max and you're going to get a max contract, then you're just going to be the most ever, or it's going to tie the most ever, or it's whatever. You know what I mean? And only one or two of those guys are going to come up in any particular offseason. So next offseason, if somebody's signing a super max with the team they started with, it's going to be the record-breaking contract. And I could be wrong, but isn't Jason Tatum like due for it next year?
Yeah, I think he is. So are they going to try to keep those two?
I think so, obviously.
Yeah. It's interesting. I would change things up. I feel like, I don't know. I don't know if it's working. I mean, it's working enough. I don't know if it's working enough.
But this was the opportunity to make that. I mean, listen, I actually like Jaylen Brown, but I'm not sure if I was on a team. I'm not sure if I had a team that has gotten really close with this core that I'd be willing to say, yeah, in the next 2 years, I super max them both and keep going. So if I was going to do it though, I'd probably do it for Tatum. So I think that ship is, I think they're obviously, I mean, it's pretty clear that they are going for it with this group.
Both. Yeah. I know. Do you think Bronny James plays basketball this season?
Yeah, probably. DeMar Hamlin's going to play. DeMar Hamlin fucking died on the field.
That's crazy to me. Like
we don't know that Bronny James was anything like that.
We don't know, but cardiac arrest, your heart stops, correct?
Sure. Yeah. But also he could have had a moment where he went down and didn't, had a thing, and then they didn't know what's wrong, and they check him and his heart's out of rhythm, and they're like, okay, you had a cardiac incident. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know. I mean, obviously we don't know one way either way, but I feel like we would have heard if they had to like CPR Bronny James back to life.
I'd be more scared. From what I know, I'd be more scared if I was Bronny James to play
than if you're DeMar Hamlin,
because DeMar Hamlin was hit.
Correct.
Hit, which caused it.
Right.
If my heart goes into something,
I'm glad we're going. I'm glad we agree on that.
Like,
there's not everybody agrees on that, Andy. Not everybody agrees that the hit was the cause.
Well, I assume it was obviously.
Obviously, it happened within seconds of him taking that hit to the chest. Yeah. Obvious. Thank you. I'm so the world's a crazy place these days. It seems obvious that the hit to the chest immediately followed by him falling down and having a cardiac issue. It seems obvious to anybody who can put forget 2 and 2 together. 2 and 2 might be too much math. 1 and 1 equals 2. So thank you. But there's a lot of people out there who are, that's not. People get hit like that all the time in the NFL.
Well, look, it doesn't, for me, it's like, obviously, with the vaccine stuff, it's like, I don't even know, nor do I really care, uh, the status of these guys. Um, but my point is with Bronny, I don't know. That's to me, that'd be terrifying.
It's also far more cardio heavy game.
I know, but like my point is, I'm just thinking of myself, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like if I have an issue like that medically.
No, but I'm saying basketball is a very cardio heavy game. I mean, the Reggie Lewis thing, people forget that he collapsed on the court and then he died, like later on.
Yeah.
Those are two separate. So he had a cardio, he had a heart issue that was ongoing. And that's the crazy thing about, the Bronny James situation is like, we don't know if they just found out now that he has
a heart issue.
That he has a heart issue. And is this the beginning of the changing of his life? Because it was like, sure, you had a cardiac incident, but is this also because you had an undiagnosed heart issue, which obviously basketball is such a cardio heavy game. And this has happened to multiple guys over the years.
Now, was that a USC practice?
I don't.
It was there.
It was at USC, right?
I did listen to the 911 call.
I guess it could have been a USC practice, although it's not, right? Isn't college basketball? Isn't that what Midnight Madness is? Isn't Midnight Madness like that's the first day you can start practicing, so you have a midnight thing?
I guess I'm not for sure on that.
But I'm sure that you just go into the gym and you have runs, and it's just like all the guys from the team are there, and you guys are just playing pickup and
because there wasn't a doctor there,
right?
You would think if it was a practice, there'd be like I'm not even saying doctor, like some sort of medical
trainer or whatever,
somebody because there was nobody to administer CPR.
Yeah,
which I want to know. So I listened to the call because TMZ released it. How do they get that call?
I believe, I could be mistaken, but I believe
911 public.
I believe.
I guess that old show.
Yeah.
Remember that show? What was that show called?
911.
Was it called 911?
I don't know. Well, there's that 911 show on Fox now, but that's not the show we're talking about.
Rescue 911.
Right.
It ran from 1989 to 1996. Back in the day. I'll Google it. I guess it depends on the state. Like it's legal here.
Yeah.
In the state of Ohio. According to a 911 dispatcher's return call. Well, that's different. After a caller hangs up is public record. Yeah, it depends. Anyway, moving right along as we get through the show.
Do you think Bronny James plays basketball this year?
I think he will. I feel they're not going to be transparent on everything, to be honest, at first.
Who's they?
LeBron in his camp. Like, let's say he has a heart issue. I don't know. They haven't revealed much. They probably know most right now, I'd assume. You would think what happened. Who knows?
He's home now, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
He's home. That's the thing too. I don't understand it. Like to be home that quickly. And the same thing with DeMar Hamlin. It's like it's amazing how quickly some of these guys can recover. They are obviously top athletes in their prime. So Moving along because we're gonna keep this show tight today.
Tight.
Quick NFL story. We've talked a lot of running backs. Jonathan Taylor now wants to be traded.
Jim Irsay's got to put down the bottle too. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh, you think he was drunk?
I mean, I don't know, but so far the Jonathan Taylor story is, he says he has not had any back injury or back pain or anything whatsoever, and that they're making this up. Indianapolis is putting out that they might put him on the PUP list because of a back injury that he claims he doesn't have. Jim Irsay is drunk tweeting that both him and Jonathan Taylor could die and no one would care because nobody's bigger than the brand.
What? Like, no, he's not even. There's a video of him saying that. I watched that.
Yeah. He's like, I could die. Jonathan Taylor could die. Jonathan Taylor Thomas could die. Home Improvement's going to go on, man. And you're like, bro, you okay?
Oh, I didn't see these tweets. I didn't see never had back pain, never reported back pain. So what the Colts are saying is that he sustained a back injury, non-playing football back injury, and they could put him on the non-football injury list to withhold his salary. It's like a game of politics these guys are playing.
It's kind of unbelievable to, like, if a guy can play, if a guy's saying I don't have a back injury, but even if a guy, let's say a guy does have a back injury, but he says he doesn't, like, if a guy's willing to get on the field, you can't just be like, no, you're hurt. No, you're hurt. We're not going to play. You're hurt. We're going to cut you. You're hurt. That's crazy to me. They beg them to play when they are hurt, and then they cut them when they can play. This is kind of everything I said about when we were talking about the running backs and Saquon. It's like, it just feels kind of gross for these teams to have, like, literal control over human beings to the point where, like, you can't even say, no, I'm good, I can play football. They're like, no, you fucking can't. And now you don't have a career. Your salary's gone. Bye.
Like I said, there's a lot of politics and there's a lot of PR spins that the NFL does as a league and as teams. And I feel like they usually win in my experience, they usually win the public, like the image thing. I feel like they make the players.
But that's exactly what Jim Irsay was saying with that quote, which is like, no one gives a fuck.
Yeah. I mean, how many times do you hear, these guys complaining they make millions of dollars? They make millions of dollars.
When the truth is, there's like 4 guys on a team that make money that is so good that if they got cut at any given moment, they would be set for life.
Yeah, there's a reason the term next man up exists. Like, it's so cutthroat. It's so cutthroat. Which is crazy because you think people would be more aware of that from watching Hard Knocks. Like, yeah, man. This notion that, like, they're all making Aaron Rodgers' salaries is ridiculous. You know, you're just trying to make the punt team.
Can I give you a story from training camp yesterday, Andy?
Mm-hmm.
So I went to Giants training camp yesterday. Went with my brother, his wife, my niece, and my nephew. It was really just kind of for the kids, you know. Well, first of all, Giants looked great, but it's training camp. You know, everything's happening in slow motion. No one's getting fucking tackled. All the guys are wearing fucking helmets on their helmets and whatever. But, you know, we've talked a lot about we can judge, Kirk Cousins or Jameis Winston or whatever from watching Quarterback or Hard Knocks. I was famously out on the Falcons because of Tivas. Like it's little things that tell me a lot. I am so like the way Brian Daboll interacted with Giants fans on his way out of training camp. When I say, like, there was a lot of players that were coming through. They called it like the big blue carpet. Like it's like almost like a red carpet, but it's a blue carpet that takes them into the locker room. Kids line up on both sides, autographs, obviously cheddar dick dudes, men with their footballs also are there. Like, oh, watch out, kid. This is going to be fucking Saquon 1-of-1 ball. Those guys are there too. But when I say, like, I am almost as much as anything I've seen so far on the field, Brian Daboll's interaction with children on this receiving line makes me think that the Giants, like, I feel like he's going to be the Giants coach for the next 15 years. Stop signing, talking to everybody, having a little moment, having like a little thing. Some of the players were really cool and being like, hey, really nice to meet you. Oh, like your jersey, whatever. I mean, he was like, Daboll, I have like 10 pictures of him with my niece and nephew, talking to them, signing with them, commenting on their thing. Like, the dude's like the Barack Obama of head coaches. Like, he's just so fucking like, the whole thing is like his likability. And it seems like if he's connecting with his players half as much as he's connecting with like kids that he talks to for 2 seconds, like, dude, I left there yesterday. I was like, damn, I was already a Brian Daboll fan, and now I'm like a Brian Daboll stan. Like, he's about to enter like Adam Sandler territory for me, where it's like, you don't talk bad about Brian Daboll in my presence, or you catch knuckles.
So your over under is 7.5 for the Giants this year.
That's hilarious, actually, to me. I mean, I know they have a tougher schedule, but the Giants aren't winning 6 games this year or 7 games this year. I don't believe that.
Was Saquon there?
He was there. Yep.
Where's that training camp at?
Right by the stadium. In like one of those brand new, corporate, the Quest Diagnostic Center. Like, I mean, when we talk about the Bengals, the Giants practice stadium is nicer than the stadium that the Bengals actually play in.
Bro.
Like, infinite, like, there's stadium seats there. There's an indoor facility. There's an outdoor facility. There's a fucking big blue carpet. There's like it's a whole thing. They're selling. They have merch stands set up there. There's a TV set.
You mean you don't see cars through the highway?
Guys, like, we're in this. I mean, it was a VIP section, but still, like, they had this like they have these guys like legends polos on. Joe Morris is walking through. George Martin's walking through. You can just walk up to them and go, like, it's a whole thing. I mean, if I showed you the picture of like just the outside of the indoor facility, you'd be like, that looks like a state. It looks like the Houston Astros ballpark we went to.
Yeah.
It's just like a huge facility. Yeah, it was crazy. Saquon, most of the kind of big-ish stars, Saquon and Waller. No, sorry. Saquon and Andrew Thomas and who else? And like Sterling Shepard, like, skipped the receiving line. Waller and Daniel Jones were like doing a TV thing, so they were probably not coming through. But everybody else on the team like came through. And it was pretty cool. I mean, my nephew like when I went to a game a couple years ago, my friend who used to be the equipment director gave me a football that I just gave to my nephew, and he had, and I was like, bring it with you. He got like 25 signatures on the ball.
Yeah, man, I have memories. It's crazy how big these camps have gotten.
Yeah. But my big takeaway, you watch all these guys, you watch them go through all their drills, you watch the offense run for a little while, you watch the defense play. My big takeaway is Daboll, man. The way he walks around that place, he's just got something about him. He's got an air about him where you're like, dude, I've been to a lot of camps. You're watching McAdoo, you're like, is the guy gonna shit in his pants? Watching Pat Shurmur, like, is he out there eating a bowl of oatmeal while he fucking coaches? Like, what are we doing here? Daboll is like the fucking dude. Daboll, like, it's got Godfather vibes. It's like when you watch, it's like watching Tony Soprano come on set or something like that. You know what I mean? Like wherever, if he was with a position group, you're like watching that group.
I feel like I feel like you're totally gonna jinx this season.
Well, I mean, listen, but here's the thing. This is what I feel about Daboll. And I actually thought about this yesterday. It's like, to me, it feels like even if the Giants won 4 games this year, I would still believe in him. Like, then I would be like, there's probably good reason for it, whatever. There was injuries, or this happened, or that happened, or this. But it's like the way the dude carries himself, like he just feel like he gives out an aura of like, man, that's the man right there. Like if you go to a fucking Chiefs practice, I'm assuming like the man vibes, like the like spotlight that's not really a spotlight kind of probably follows fucking Patrick Mahomes around.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're at Bengals practice, everybody's like, there's Burrow, there's Burrow, there's Burrow, there's Burrow. There's a little bit of that with Saquon, but like the spotlight that you feel like is shining around the field is on Brian Daboll. And I think that's a great thing for your team. If your head coach is kind of the man, if on the field you feel like, who's the man out here? And you're like, it's that dude. I think that's a great position to be in.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. That's actually a good segue for a call we have. We'll jump into those. 310-359-8365. That is our hotline. And this is a football call.
Not surprised. Did you see my post from training camp yesterday? I'm glad we got a little baseball today. And I said I was watching guys hit the sled, and I was like, that's it. Football season's here, which means Andy Ruther's not going to let us talk about anything but football until mid-February.
We didn't get to football till later in this episode.
I know. It's easing your way out of the sports. Like, how do we feel about the trade deadline? One last chance to talk baseball. You have till tomorrow.
Well, I also like, dude, I love football, but the fatigue is real too. Like
Football fatigue?
No, like people who just. I think my life has changed. Definitely, obviously, changed so much since having a kid. But even before that, it's like I'm just gonna. And I've said this on the show. Like people whose entire identity is connected to a sports team is. I just think it's weird. Like I'm for it, but like,
man, I mean, I feel like this is just I feel like you're just like literally taking shots at Randy right now.
That's funny. I didn't even think about that. But like if your whole, I don't know, man, like it's just like my whole life, like these people. That's now you got Randy in my head as I'm trying to word this. I just like, dude, the whole life being affected by a sports team is, I don't know, man.
Justin's entire thread account. There's not one thing on he has no replies. And the threads are just 66 days until Bengals football, 65 days until Bengals football, 64 days. We're now at 42 days until Bengals football.
I don't like, and obviously I love football, I love sports, but I don't know. It's just like, and I would even put Justin in that category. I'm talking about, I'm talking about the cosplay guys.
Yeah.
Like
he hasn't missed a day.
I don't know, man. It's just that's all I'm saying is like I'm ready for football and but I'm also not like when it's here, it's here. I
You don't
don't
watch preseason games?
no. I'm not on Reddit forums unless I occasionally want to check in to see
What the Lions fans are doing?
possibly. Or just like I don't know, like everyone they nitpick and they everybody like obviously the Burrow thing has. I'm like I did go to the Bengals Reddit. I'm like, what are idiots saying? Like, oh, I'm so fascinated by everyone being a medical expert and this and that. And I'm like, dude, it's pretty simple. They're not going to play Burrow the rest of the preseason. And everyone's like, well, he's never played a preseason. Has that affected him? Like he's never had a full, I should say he's never had a full since he started his career, he's never had a normal preseason because of injury.
Has he played preseason games?
He has, but like 2020 was COVID. 2021, he was coming back from the knee injury. The knee injury. Last year, his appendix bursts. So like it's like then he missed 3 straight weeks. It's like, oh, the Bengals started 0-2 last year. Yeah, then they won 10 of their next 12.
Now I'm going to start this conspiracy theory. How about this, Andy? Remember the whole thing when he went down last week because he already had a sleeve on? Does he go out, put that sleeve on, and then they're like, dude, just like one of the ones where you're just like running it out, just like lay down, and now we don't have to, and now it's it. Like we're off the hook. We don't have to put you on the field for the rest of the preseason.
That's funny. Well, I mean, you had people here last one that they started 0-2 because they were rusty. It's like, dude, these guys are pros. They started 0-2 because they got beat. Yeah. Like, it is what it is.
And it's not about rust. I mean, there's obviously, on a football team on any given year, you're gonna have new guys. You're gonna have new things like that's the NFL. Like the NFL, like there's no better way to make money. I mean, forget my NBA playoff zigzag series, which is essentially just like cashing checks at this point. But like first 2 weeks of the NFL season, pick 3 or 4 fucking money line dogs and throw all your money on it. Like, the teams that are predicted to fucking win by 12 points. I mean, think about guys who go out in their suicide league week 2 because the fucking, Texans beat the Colts or whatever.
Oh, 100%. I mean, the Chiefs lost. Well, I don't think it was the first 2, or was it the first 2 weeks? Or was it week
2 or 3? Yeah, they lost to the Colts.
They lost to the Colts last year.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to this this call. This is from CT.
Praino, Regan, CT Farmers up from Seattle. I want to Seattle Packers fan calling in. You guys talking about Joe Burrow injury.
I think he's on speed, so everybody take a breath.
I was like, I know you can play podcasts on double speed. Can you play your calls on double speed?
So everybody just kind of try to listen because he's going fast.
We never see that. I'm not a Bengals fan, but they're an exciting team, and I hope he's all right. But leading up to the season, I always hate to see any injuries that kind of drastically affect what the season's going to look like. Outside of the quarterback position for all the teams, what individual player do you think getting injured would affect the team the most? Like, if Derrick Henry were to go down, the Titans are just done, right? So outside of the quarterback position, because obviously that's the answer, what player going down in the preseason would be devastating for a team? Yeah.
Okay, so this is a good question.
So
this is a good question.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to hear you. I think, real quick, off the top of my head.
Okay.
If Justin Jefferson goes down, it drastically affects the Vikings.
100%. That was going to be my answer.
Okay.
Justin Jefferson, because, a couple names that immediately come to my brain, and I think that these guys are still up there. I mean, I think Saquon would be a big deal for the Giants. But also it's like, how much does a running back really? But I think with their offense and the way that they're built, That was the game of chicken that they. It was remarkable that they won, because the game of chicken is like, you don't play, you take this money or you don't play, and he lost that game of chicken, and it's like, I don't know, man. I think for a team, him and Derrick Henry are probably the two running backs that you'd be most concerned with. The Niners are so talented, and the Niners have gotten it done. And McCaffrey's huge for them, but if he goes down, I don't think he's a game changer.
Oh no.
Mahomes is so good, but I still think Kelsey going down would be a big blow for them.
Yeah.
I think they'd have to figure out something. I wouldn't be worried that suddenly they weren't going to be in the playoffs or anything like that, but I would be worried that, I don't know, somebody could maybe win the division and they'd have to play as a wild card. And then when does he come back? Blah, blah, blah. I think it would greatly affect their Super Bowl odds. But the answer to me is no single player on a defense is really going to have the effect of an elite, receiver or running back or obviously quarterback or tight end. So to me, it's very clearly Justin Jefferson, because I would have faith that Patrick Mahomes is whatever. But Justin Jefferson is essentially Kirk Cousins, Binky, he doesn't go to bed without it. It's the fucking, what's the guy in Peanuts who carries around the fucking blanket? I think if Justin Jefferson went down, I think the Vikings would be under 500.
Yeah. No, I agree. He was the first one that came to mind. Where last year, we were just talking about it. Jamar Chase missed 4 games.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. The Bengals, I think, won all 4 or went 3-1. It was now I know he's got other weapons around him, but it's he's an alpha number 1. It's not going to matter because, like you said, with Mahomes, good quarterbacks make it work. That's 100% a security blanket for Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Okay, this next call, very dirty sports-esque. I did see this. Lots of dirtballs tagged me for this. This is total dirty sports right here.
All right, boys. The news is out. Subway is officially giving someone Subway for life and $750 cash to legally change their first name to Subway. Now, we know there's an imbecile out there that's going to do this. My question is, if you had to guess, what state is this person going to be from? And are you going to be shocked if it's Ohio? That's the only question I got. Stay dirty.
Okay, so I saw this. It's pretty wild. Subway is giving, this is the actual, they're doing a contest between August 1st and 4th, a Subway name change challenge, subwaynamechange.com. According to official contest rules, in a one-form payment, somebody will be given $50,000 in Subway gift cards. Additionally, they will give $750 to cover legal fees to change someone's name.
First of all, if you're the kind of person, hold on, hear me out. If you're the kind of person that would change your name so as to get free Subway sandwiches for life, does 50 grand even cover it? To me, if you're that guy, you're eating 5 Subways a day. You're just a fucking absolute monster. You're just an absolute fucking yeti of a human being. Just yeah, man, all I want is fucking Subway forever. And it's also why can't you just give them
a card,
a fucking golden ticket Wonka card?
See, I didn't know that till I looked it up right before the show.
Yeah.
So So like Gold Star, they've done this thing the last few years where Cincinnati Burger Week is a big thing in Cincinnati, where like all these different restaurants, from like high end to like, fast food joint like that, they do like a special during Burger Week. They do 100 people win, and they just did it, and I think they're announcing winners. It's pretty cool. 100 people win a free burger and fries every week for a year. So you get 52 free burgers and fries if you enter. But you get a little card that's like, hey, I get kind of what you're saying. I don't know why they don't do that. Like, I get 52 free burgers and fries over, and it's not, they're not even gonna say, oh, it's restricted for a year. It's just, hey, this little card gives me 52 burgers and fries free.
Yeah.
I don't know why they wouldn't just do that.
Okay, top 5 states in order. I think this guy comes from Pennsylvania, Ohio.
No, see, you're starting off. You like the fact that you're like ignoring Mississippi.
No. I think you go too far south, you get into like you get into weird like Jimmy John's territory, and then like real fucking regional culture food. I'm going Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, Oklahoma, Texas. 2 honorable mentions just because of their penchant for being fucking ludicrous populations. Jersey and Florida. Jersey and Florida are my outside long plays in order. I mean, I'm almost certain the dude comes from fucking middle of Pennsylvania.
I would see. I almost think
Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, Oklahoma, Texas.
I'm thinking more Mississippi, Iowa/Nebraska, like where you don't
Think about how far you probably have to drive in Nebraska to just get to a fucking Subway. Although it might be a play in one of those places because it's like it's the only restaurant in town.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking.
I mean, just give the guy from Pennsylvania the fucking thing already. It's gonna be him.
I'm on their page. This is crazy. This is all in conjunction with their new line of sandwiches, which are called, where is this? The new lineup.
Oh God. Also, is there like a 2% chance that Russell Wilson is actually the guy? And that Subway Wilson quarterbacks the fucking Broncos to a 4-13 record this year?
I just don't know these. Look, man, you eat what you want. That's the one I just don't get. I just don't get it, man. Like if you had options, why are you going?
So the other day, my brother Mikey sends me this thing. It's a couple weeks ago now, but he sends me this thing, and it's like, dude, I got pre-packaged like 1,000 count Otis Spunkmeyer cookie dough things, and I'm like, I just wrote him back. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, what is this? And he's like, dude, Subway cookies? He's like, no, I can make them at home. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, I was like, is this something you've been looking for? He's like, oh, yeah. I love Subway cookies.
Their cookies are good, man.
Bro, but also,
I'll give them that. Their
what
cookies
are we
really
talking about here? How many times have you had a cookie from like, what?
So that used to be my thing, though. Well, when that Subway was in Venice, dude, I'd go over, especially if I was a little stoned, I'd go over and get a couple cookies. I'd try them all, too.
In the little fucking plastic tray.
Yeah, man, they bake them there.
He sent me this. Otis Spunkmeyer Value Zone chocolate chip cookie dough, 1 ounce, 320 per case. He bought 320 single serving cookie dough.
Yeah, that's insane.
Spent $111. So now he can make 320 Subway style chocolate chip cookies.
That's hilarious.
I'm like, you're fucking mentally ill, bro.
That's amazing.
Also, my brother's about to be Subway Praino. And technically he's in New York, but he's on the other side of the Hudson. So we all know it's really Jersey.
Hey man. Feed a lot. $50,000 in gift cards. You feed a lot of family, a lot of your family. Okay, one last call, and then we'll wrap it up.
Joe, Andy, your number one Minnesota farmer, DirtBall Jay. Calling about Andy's baby monitor situation. So I've got a few cats at our place.
Baby
Outdoor
monitor
cats. We got a little
situation.
kind of a shack that they hang out in. We have a camera
cat
out
shack?
there that I can look at all times. It was $20. So, in other words, I have a more advanced camera system for my cat than Ruther does for his child. Called the Ye Home Camera, for those of you that were wondering. Andy, Fly Eye Home, $20. I think you can afford that with all that dirty Gold Star money you got.
So
Was that a dirty / Gold Star money, as in dirty sports / Gold Star, or was he talking about your Gold Star money being literally dirty?
I don't know. So here's the thing, guys. I want to clarify a few things. My girlfriend was pretty heated, to be honest, when we were having this discussion, because there's a lot of things I did not know, which doesn't surprise me. Because you're talking about a guy who the other day when I went to pick up Isla from daycare, the women were laughing and saying, you put her clothes on backwards. So like this is what we're dealing with. Like they're like, dude, we had to change her. Like you put her clothes on wrong. So like this is what we're dealing with. Apparently she bought this type of monitor and actually wasn't cheap because it's closed circuit. She doesn't want to use something where people and this is being extra paranoid, but that's fine. That doesn't bother me. Where somebody could access a camera to look at our daughter. So that's why this was purchased. And this camera is actually, the camera and the monitor, she said they're actually like $200. So like the whole purpose was, I don't want, not that it would happen, but let's say somebody could go in and access with creepers or whoever it is. I don't want somebody looking to seeing the status of my baby. That's why she doesn't use the app. And look, is she being extra protective? Obviously, we all know they have access to stuff with our phones and all that. Like, yeah. So that's the reason we have that. Anyway, like that, you know, I didn't know any of that. So that's where we're at. So we are not going to get one with an app anytime soon. And the truth is, like, if I was cutting the grass, like I could take the monitor outside, but like if I was cutting the grass anyway, like I wouldn't be cutting the grass if she was here. Because if she wakes up, like she's teething now, so she goes psycho. Like she wakes up, somebody's got to go up there and take care of her. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So I won't be using the cat monitor. I appreciate that though. But I'm curious about this cat shack. Have you and cat Jason Kidd thought about
starting a B-52s like band and having your first single be Cat Shack, baby cat shack, little old place where we can meow together.
Did you see? Or you guys can meet.
By the way, these cameras are so advanced now that I'm like so aware that when somebody has kids, I just assume everybody who has kids fucking has cameras all around their house. And like I said, my sister's even has sound. So I was over at my buddy's the other day. This is actually the last time I was here, but I was just talking about it when I was at his place. And I desperately needed like Advil. And so I was walking around their house, going through like all the drawers and all the cabinets looking for fucking Advil. And I just assumed that they were watching me on camera, like pillage their house. So I kept just saying out loud, I'm looking for Advil. Just FYI, I'm looking for Advil.
That's hilarious. Yeah, no, the
I
camera's...
promise I'm not going in your panty drawer. I just desperately need Advil.
Yeah, no, it's got full, like, it's a good camera.
You're just not trying to connect to the Wi-Fi.
You know, look, I'm not gonna fight her on that. If she's paranoid, and I don't know what kind of pedo is like trying to access kids' baby cams. I don't
know
how,
from Subway, obviously.
Yeah, I don't know how you hack into that, but if that's something, I'm not gonna.
I'm sure there's a network of people on the dark web that are just watching baby sleep.
Yeah,
the thing.
Like, I'm sure. I mean,
sleepingbabies.net.
Yeah, I mean, a guy just paid $20,000 to look like a collie. Did you see that?
Yeah.
DirtBall's blowing up the DMs. Japanese man reportedly spent, like, I don't know, I've seen reports anywhere from $14,000 to $20,000 to look. Dude, I gotta pull this up on the screen. This guy looks like a fucking collie.
It looks so goddamn real that I'm like, what the fuck?
It looks so real. I mean, look at this guy. Looks like a collie. I mean, watch him move. He looks just... This is a guy in a costume. I mean, what is happening here?
I mean, again, this goes back to my ultimate question. It's like, this Japanese guy on probably, channel X or whatever was their fucking thing where they get all the old American classics. Just a kid sitting there getting old reruns of Lassie in black and white. Suddenly rock hard. And then he's like, I want to be a fucking collie.
Bro. He shared his first...
What's that, Lassie? Old Billy fell in a well, and he's like, I'm going to finish.
Oh, my God. So he is a... Dude, he has a YouTube channel. He's got like a good YouTube channel. 38.7 thousand followers. It's called I Want to Be an Animal. Hi, my name is Toko. I wanted to be an animal, and I became a collie. This channel will bring...
Also the title of a Nine Inch Nails song.
Good song, by the way. This video was shot last year when I was interviewed by a German television station. Okay, let's just watch this real quick. So this is him out in public for his walk, I think, as a collie. Look how big he looks. This is unbelievable.
Perfect.
He's rolling over. I mean, he looks like just a big dog.
Good boy.
Praino's speechless.
I cannot.
Yeah, cool, buddy. Thank you. Be careful.
This is
Are you
unbelievable.
good? Oh, there is another little doggy.
Other dogs just think he's a normal dog. He looks like one.
He's scared.
Oh, I feel like the dogs are smart, man. I feel like they would sense. That's not a fucking dog. That's a dude dressed as a dog.
The other dog's like, that's Toko in a fucking dog costume.
Well, there you have it, guys. So
there you have it.
So what did we learn? You can either get $50,000 in Subway gift cards if you change your name, or if you spend $14,000, you can look like a collie.
Yeah.
So you can do anything. 310-359-8365. That is our hotline. Give us a ring, and we'll get back to you.
That's right.
What's going on, Joe?
This weekend, Andy. August 4th and 5th. 2 shows Friday. 2 shows Saturday. Atlantic City Comedy Club, Atlantic City, New Jersey, Claridge Hotel. I'll be there the whole weekend doing Atlantic City things, performing, headlining, Pizza Starro opening for me. Going to be great shows. Get your tickets now. I've linked to it on all of my socials. if you're in Jersey, if you're in Pennsylvania, if you're in any of these places that the Subway guy is definitely coming from, come to see my shows. They're going to be great. After that, I will be in Colorado, August 13th through 20th. The 13th, I'll be at Boulder. Middle of the week, I will be in Denver. Weekend, 18th and 19th, I'll be in Steamboat Springs. Come to those shows. All my shows and more, joepraino.com/shows. Follow me on TikTok at Joe Praino. Follow me on Instagram and Threads at Joe Praino. I've been posting a little bit more on my Joe Praino Comedy Facebook page. Go there. But yeah, please come out and see a show sometime soon. And don't forget, get your early planning started for our 1000th episode in New Orleans, Louisiana, weekend December 16th and December 17th. Brian Daboll, President Daboll, and the Giants will be in town to take on Derek Carr 1-of-1 and the Saints to Caesars Superdome. And we will be at Comedy House, New Orleans, for a live podcast, 2 comedy shows, Andy Ruther's wedding. It's going to be great, guys. Be there. Get your tickets now. I can't believe you keep low key hinting at that, by the way. We're going to do a 1000th episode live podcast in New Orleans. And you also might be having nuptials there. How have DirtBall's not all already planned on coming? Can you imagine missing that? Can you imagine being like, I was there when fucking Brandon Ping fell during a fucking beer festival in Ohio, but I wasn't at Andy Ruther's live podcast / wedding.
You never know, Dirtballs. You never know. So get your tickets, December 16th, New Orleans. All right, guys, that's our show. Have a great week. And as always, stay